Hey guys, HW. This obelisk behind me that was erected in 1870 was to commemorate the landing of Captain James Cook. This is where he came ashore. Captain Cook landed here on the 28th of April 1770. So 100 years after, they built this obelisk to commemorate that. Now, I haven't been here for a long time. I was trying to remember when I'd been here last, and I'm pretty sure I came out here with my father and grandparents when I was very little. So I can't recall much of it other than these pine trees. I remember some of these. Bit of building going on at the moment. They're putting in a new ferry terminal just here at Kurnell. On this side of the obelisk was when Princess Anne came out to do a commemoration for the 200th anniversary of the landing of Captain Cook. And they reenacted it. Probably had some guys dressed up in red coats. They probably had an Aboriginal delegation as well. Now here's an actual extract from his journal. Saturday the 28th of April 1770, at daybreak we discovered a bay and anchored under the south shore, about 2 miles within the entrance. In 6 fathoms of water, the south point became southeast and the north point east, latitude 34 south, longitude 208, 37 west. Been meaning to come out here for ages, and just my luck to come out here when they're building a ferry terminal, and there's all this ugly scaffolding up everywhere. Let's take this moment as we look out into the bay where Captain Cook landed and do the weather observations. Today in old Sydney town it's going to be, and you can see some planes taking off at the airport across the bay there. Today in Sydney it's going to be 18 degrees Celsius and the winds from the northwest at 4 kilometres an hour. And there's all the workmen over there working on the new ferry terminal, which is going to be called Carmay Ferry Wharfs. And I think they call this Carmay Bay just here where Captain Cook landed. And I was reading up on it a bit before, and it turns out when he first came ashore, the local Indigenous people of the area, I think some of them from the Eora Nation, they tried to stop his party from coming ashore. It's probably important that we mention that as well. So for us, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Captain Cook. But on the other side of the coin, the Indigenous people of Australia, for them it was an invasion, wasn't it? So not a real great day for them. What have we got up there in the sky? It's a Jetstar. The old Death Star taking off. It's crazy to think the Europeans came to shore here and walked through this bush looking for supplies, to replenish their ship, the Endeavour. Encountered the local people, just really try to search out a fresh water source. So treading in the same footsteps as those early pioneers. Walking on this little bush track now. I think Captain Cook and his party would have trod along these same paths probably on their search for food and water. Just before, I didn't get my camera out fast enough, there was a kookaburra sounding off, making a racket. I missed it. Just thinking about Captain Cook's ship, the Endeavour. In all, Captain Cook came to the Pacific 3 times on 3 different voyages. And you all know the story of on his last voyage when he found the Hawaiian Islands, and we all know what happened to him there. He kidnapped the Hawaiian chief, and as a result the Hawaiian chief's subjects killed Captain Cook. He died in Hawaii. But thinking about his ship, the Endeavour, it later became renamed the Lord's Sandwich. And to think that it eventually took its part in the American War of Independence. Eventually it was sunk by British forces. I can't remember the name of the bay that it was sunk in America, but it was sunk to block revolutionaries getting into the bay, or the French getting into the bay. I can't recall. You'll have to look. I've really done my research, haven't I? You'll have to look it up yourself and see why it was actually sunk. These are cool old palms here. Oh, there's some sort of crazy bird in the tree here. I wonder if I can get a look at it. Oh yeah, there it is, a little one. Some sort of little finch up there. Quite like this bush trail. It's very peaceful. It's pretty cool. Got all these plaques up. I don't remember that. They obviously came here to transfer the torch onto Australian soil, the Olympic torch. There's the obelisk. Botany Bay. This is a place where people have come for ceremony and celebration, to remember the past and imagine the future. To Aboriginal people, the land itself is history, knowledge and memory. Their stories are embedded within the land. The European way of remembering, honouring the past has often been to place new features on the surface. These monuments, plaques and plantings have transformed the character of the landscape. But in remembering some histories, they have acted to silence others. Everything that has happened to the Aboriginal people has its roots in this area. It impacted on all Aboriginal people across Australia. And they talk a bit about the various commemorations they've had over the years. Some local people on their canoes here fishing. Hope you can see that in the sunlight. So the local people used to travel hundreds of miles to get the clay that was available in this land to use in their ceremonies. According to a Darawal elder by the name of Dr. Shane Williams. Here's a few more inscriptions from Captain Cook. At daylight in the morning we discovered a bay which appeared to be tolerably well sheltered from all the winds. 28th of April 1770. And then from Aboriginal local, I used to watch the fish and whales and dolphins come into the south side of the bay and make their way around to the north arm. Elder Auntie Beryl Timberley Bella in 2006, she said that. Some fish, a couple of kookaburras there, so they're still in the area, the kookaburras. I heard them before but couldn't get it on film, unfortunately. It's a bit more about the meeting grounds. This meeting place of land and sea, of salt water and fresh water, is a place of remarkable natural abundance. For those who understood the land, it provided for them well, but for those who found this place strange and foreign, it puzzled and confounded them at every turn. Bit of a comparison there. The Victorian ladies in their get-ups. It's called a Burrawang palm. Did we see any of those? I'm not sure I did. Now we're walking along this little path here. All part of the parklands that they've built around the Captain Cook monuments. There is a visitor centre around here somewhere, but it's not open at the moment because they're rebuilding that as well. Yeah, I don't remember any of this when I was a kid, so I must have been fairly young. Glad I came out here. Looks like we've got another monument down here. I love this scene just here. These lovely big pine trees overlooking the bay. They look like Norfolk pines to me, so I'm going to say they're Norfolk pines, or Norfolk Island pines, if you will. Let's see what this obelisk down here says. This is to commemorate another one of the crew members on board the Endeavour when it came ashore in 1770, a Daniel Carl Solander, who together with Captain James Cook and Sir Joseph Banks landed in Australia in 1770. For those of you that don't know the history of Australia, it was a number of years later that the first settlers came to Oz after following Captain Cook. So Captain Cook 1770, the first fleet, they came in 1788. And they did come back to this same spot, but they found it pretty inhospitable for life, and that's when eventually they made the journey up the coast just a little bit further and got into Sydney Cove and Sydney Harbour. That's when they found the tank stream. I've covered the tank stream in videos before, and the Sydney's Rocks obviously became a settlement, and so on and so on. Three-pronged flagpole here with the Australian flag up the top, New South Wales flag to the right, and the Aboriginal flag to the left. Another two planes take off over the bay. If you wanted to come out to this spot yourself, if you're a tourist, you're looking at about an hour car ride from the city. I'll have to do a little bit of research on this ferry. I wonder if this ferry is going to be a permanent thing. If they're going to be nice if it took off from La Perouse and came over here. It'd be a nice quick way of getting over here. Even better if they had a car ferry. Imagine being able to cut off a fair bit of the journey from the city over to here. Here's another commemoration plaque here. Another one of the crewmen aboard the Endeavour, a Mr. Forby Sutherland, a seaman on the Endeavour under Captain Cook, the first British subject to die in Australia. He was buried right here on the 1st of May. And then it says something about the date changing, and then they said the 2nd of May, 1770. So either the 1st of May or 2nd of May. Maybe he died somewhere else and then they moved him here and buried him here. Something like that. Wow, have a go at this. Look at all these collections of shells. I can't remember the native term for it, but where they have big collections of shells like this, it's called a certain name, but this is where they would have eaten the sea creatures out of the shells and throwing the shells down on the beach. This is really cool. So you imagine the local people in the day sitting around here on the rocks, enjoying a harvest out of the bay. Tell you what, just hear the smell coming out of these rocks isn't too great, I tell you. It's like a combination of horse manure and fish guts. Botany Bay intertidal protected area. No collecting crabs, seashells, sea urchins, all of the above. Penalties up to $22,000 apply. Commemorations Bay National Park. Now we come to the edge of the water here and there's a beautiful whale sculpture. A mummy whale with its calf. This was something that was worked on with the local Indigenous people, and I think this net here, which is part of the sculpture, was actually hand woven by one of the Aboriginal locals. Pretty impressive, the whole thing. I don't know whether you can see in the distance, but just there where I'm pointing is Bear Island. That was a little island that was fortified back in the 1800s by the British, who feared that the Russians would invade. Bear Island was also used in one of the Mission Impossible movies. If you look through my collection of videos, La Perouse, you'll see I made a video. Now we're looking out through the mouth of the bay, the mouth of Botany Bay, and that's where the Endeavour would have limped into shore back in the day. Turned the corner here and then headed down. Someone in my party's bright idea to walk through this land here. It's like a swamp, having to walk around the outside so that we don't get our shoes wet. I was happy to go back the same way, but there's always one clown. So we just finished smashing down those snack packs, and directly across from where we're eating there's a wild beehive, this tree just here. Oh, hope I don't get stung. I'll get as close as I can to it. Oh, they're starting to come. Oh, there they are. Yeah. I'm back home now, editing my video. I'm putting all the GoPro files together anyway, so that's one presentation. Thanks for coming on the skirt today. See you in the next vid. The video is over.